A very good afternoon to one and all. I'm delighted to welcome you all to yet another episode of Futuristic Education, a web series dedicated to education. It's an initiative of Edudevs in association with Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham to enlighten and empower the education community in the education trends for the future. These are city-based series where edu leaders from a particular city are invited to voice their views on pertinent issues in the 21st century education. Today's city is Lucknow. I'm your host and moderator for today, Devyani Kapoor. After the overwhelming success of our previous webinar on gamification as a teaching methodology, we are back with yet another enriching topic of discussion, reinventing learning spaces. So without much further ado, let me quickly introduce you to our esteemed and special panel today. Today we have with us Dr. S. Balamurugan from Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham University, the chairperson and professor at Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. Welcome, sir. Let us welcome Dr. Dheeraj Mehrotra, a seasoned academician who is also the principal of Coors Global School, Lucknow. Welcome, sir. We have with us from Lucknow, Ms. Ruchi Sharma, Principal, Bloomingdale's School. Welcome, ma'am. Now, flipping our classrooms into active learning spaces really is important, and having these convenient spaces where people feel comfortable, where students approach, access knowledge at a pace which doesn't hamper their learning graph. If we look at the dictionary meaning of this trending word, this word has been trending a lot, learning spaces or learning setting. It refers to a physical setting or a learning environment, a place in which teaching learning process takes place. The term is used commonly till now to denote classrooms, but today it may also refer to an indoor, an outdoor, a natural or a virtual learning space. Learning spaces are highly diverse. As I just said, outdoor, indoor, actual, virtual, with different learning styles, configurations, location, pedagogies, whether it is passive or active, participated, kinesthetic, and the list can go on. So, but if we leave the history of last 2.5 years, I realized that really not had changed when I was a student. Maybe in some schools, the blackboard changed to smart boards. This makes me wonder if education occurs only in the four-walled confines of a traditional classroom environment, with its students lined up in neat rows and teacher teaching from there. There's a one-sided transaction of knowledge. As schools are now, which we were just discussing amongst the panelists, as schools are slowly reopening, we have a unique opportunity, which we may like it, we may not. COVID has provided us to reinvent the learning environment with a focus on tangible learning spaces. Now, as I always say, without spilling the beans, I will move on to straight away think about few questions and address them to our panelists. Now, when I talk about the evolution of learning space, my questions are, should they be led by a teacher facilitator only, Or could the students be encouraged to lead? Do we need to look at a learning space that is flexible, agile, adaptive? Or can that be attained? My question, which is also the ice-breaking question to my esteemed panelists, and will go in order of Miss Ruchi, followed by Dr. Bala Murugan, and then Dr. Dheeraj Mehrotra. My question to you is, how important is the learning space? Simple question, whatever it may be, and what role does it play in the learning outcomes? Yes, Ms. Ruchi, we were just discussing, so I will start with you.
Very good afternoon to all of you, and thank you, Devyani, for having me over. Like you just mentioned, learning spaces, what we were as children, and when I started teaching, and just 2 years back, were more or less the same. But I personally believe that if we want the children to grow, if we want the children's socio-emotional well-being, it all depends on the learning spaces. It cannot be confined to a particular atmosphere only or a particular classroom. So if we want the children to benefit, the learning spaces have to be revamped. We have to think out of the box. We cannot keep learning only limited to the four walls. It has to move out of the walls. We bring the outdoors indoors, we take the indoors outdoors. That is what, because wherever the children are growing, the kind of atmosphere we are giving them to grow is very important, because their potential depends upon that atmosphere. And that atmosphere will not be positive if we do not give them the freedom. We say about freedom of speech, but how will that freedom of speech come when the mind is not working the way it's supposed to work? So the freedom of mind has to be given to the children. We have to think of giving them new opportunities where they can interact with each other. It cannot be like, just a teacher standing and it's just one way communication where the children are listening. It has to be a two-way communication. A total interaction has to be there. A well-designed learning environment, as per me, will help children collaborate. They should be able to collaborate. They should be able to communicate. Their interpersonal skills have to be worked upon. And it should be very encouraging for the children to get into discussions, to learn leadership, to develop teamwork. So basically, I personally feel any school, which I think so, most of the schools are doing it nowadays. We are working on a very different kind of an environment, which has flexibility, which has versatility, where you have these connections between the teacher and the student, between the students themselves, between the teachers and the parents, the school and the parents. There is stimulation wherein we believe in a holistic development of the children. And we also have technology, which is the latest thing which has come into the field of education. So any kind of learning environment which boosts the overall confidence of a child, the social well-being, the emotional well-being, if all these things are catered for, the IQ will definitely be better than what we can even think of. This is my personal opinion about the learning environment that we should and we are giving to the children.
Very well said. I think you have. Thank you so much. So well, Chris. Just encapsulated the entire conversation, that it is that environment which boosts a child's holistic development. Any other perspective that Dr. Balamurugan, you would like to comment upon when we are talking about a learning space and its importance? Ji.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I just want to add some more points along with what Ruchi madam has told regarding this learning space. But I just want to see it from the learning outcome perspective. When we look into the learning outcome, whatever course it is, right, there is an outcome for that course. When we look it from that perspective, right, as a teacher or as a student, right, we will be looking for cognitively the student should learn and they should be in a position to apply, or they should do something more than just getting a knowledge out of it. They should be in a position to create something through that particular course. That's what we expect on the cognitive level. Apart from that, it should do something on the psychomotor, right? That's what we call it, like a skill. So it should improve their skill, it should improve their cognitive part. Both the things has to be improved. And when you look into the cognitive and this trichomotor itself, only with the conventional type of learning, it is very difficult for us to achieve it. Apart from that, right, whatever the students learn, it should get retained with them, and it should be there for their lifelong. So looking into this cognitive part, which should reach a high level of taxonomy, and if you want to provide a very good psychomotor skill to the students, and if you expect a retained knowledge with them, it should be there throughout the life, then we have to definitely reinvent all our teaching environment.
I think learning outcome becomes so important, because at the end of the day, that is the only measurable thing that we look at it as an outcome. And very well said. You know, you developed it on two platforms: the cognitive level and the psychomotor development of the psychomotor skills. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you again, sir. Moving on to Dr. Dheeraj Mehrotra. What is it that defines a learning space in your school, and what could it be for? Yeah.
Well, I would suggest, or rather indicate my point here, that when we talk about learning space, it is actually the preparedness of the learner, the mindset of the learner. It can be through WWW, which is whatever, whenever, wherever. It is the mindset. It is the approach and the preparedness, and it comes through motivation. It can be in the classroom, it can be a virtual environment, it can be in the cloud, it can be even on the WhatsApp while you're communicating. It can be formal, it can be informal. We at times tends to learn so many things from different people across. So I would say that COVID has taught us that teaching can be done anywhere, anytime, in any format. The learning can also be done similarly. We tend to learn, as I pointed out in the beginning also, the more we learn, the more we earn in terms of honor, recognition, and pride. And I believe to practice it as a teacher, as a head of a school here at Kumars Global School in Lucknow, we look forward to making a priority of being a learner for life. And now when we talk about the environment, the preparedness, the classroom, of course, when we say that the classroom is a room where the teacher is there, the children are there, and there is a spectrum of delivery and learning taking place. But COVID has told us, in fact, demonstrated to all of us as being an experiential learner ourselves, that how best we can learn about the mindfulness through the very spectrum of what, why, and how. And that is
Beautifully. So
That
well
is,
said. I think I was, sorry. I'm so sorry. Continue.
yeah, please carry on. That's all. Yeah.
Because my next question again is coming to you, but so beautifully narrated by each one of the panelists, and what Dr. Mehrotra said. And I was thinking, actually, he wanted to say that it is the information when he said it's www, but the beautiful connotation of whatever, whenever, and wherever. Actually, that is what is, because at the end of the day, pandemic has only helped us revisit a concept which was an age-old practice of, whether we talk about Gandhi's Nai Taaleem or Krishnamurti Foundation or any other Tagore's board. They all talk about, freedom to learn, freedom to grow, and freedom to think. And that freedom to the child can be provided anywhere. So thank you so much. This discussion, I'm sure, is going to take a very, very intellectual turn, and our viewers will really be benefited with this. Dr. Mehrotra, you were talking, you were ending about the classroom, and you said that, it's not about the knowledge or learning does not just happen about in the classrooms. Let me dwell on that, and I'm actually reminded of, you must have heard of, it's a Minambika is a school that started in 1981. It's a school set in the heart of Delhi. It has inspired, several schools in the country, which have also marked as school as, differential teaching learning or probably hands-on learning experience. And if we go and look at this school, the school is a place which is devoid from any kind of structured building. I mean, if I don't know whether you visited or not, it's in Delhi, so I've visited it a couple of times. And the place does not, there is no structure, there's openness, and it reflects the freedom to learn. Now, in today's environment, when the schools, we see so much from, sometimes there is constraints in the budget when we talk about building the schools. At other side, we have palatial schools coming up. So, and the opportunity, why I'm deliberately talking, normally we talk about the architects who keep designing the schools. But if you look at Minambika, you would feel that it was not just the role of architects. You'll be very sure that probably academicians would have contributed to the development of this school. Now, how can, Dr. Mehrotra, if I cut short the discussion, how can spaces be designed and existing spaces be reinvented so that they become, centers that most effectively would facilitate a learning environment? What would be the role of management? What should they think? What about some managements who have this money crunch, or some management who want to splurge in creating palatial buildings and AC infrastructures, and they sell their schools on these parameters? It's a very, I know, a bold question, but let me hear it out from you. Ji, Dr. Mehrotra. Hello? Is Dr. Mehrotra there?
Yeah, I heard about that school in the Sri Aurobindo Ashram campus, probably, and we look forward to actually doing experiment. With the preface, of course, the word I used earlier as experiential learning, and hence implementing anything of that sort comes with a reason and the support of the top management. So for sure, we are trying to benchmark on various international and even national old traditional way of teaching and learning. And that comes out probably, even if we tend to engage through technology, we should not be leaving the culture behind, the learning outcome we have had over the years with the implementation of our cultural aspects. The rich culture that India has to be revisited, probably looking forward to our epics. And when we talk about the honorable literates all around globally, they all occupy about the importance of Sanskrit language here, I would say. So there are schools in UK, US, where they make use of Sanskrit as a common language of being taught within schools and in the school assemblies. So similarly, the narration can be of, encompassing or incorporating novel views like wearing khadi one day a week. And there are very many innovative ideas to implement on the move with some learning behind. And that approach, not only with X, with Y, with Z schools, but it is up to us to implement, and for the teacher to be in the classroom is always excited to be given a privilege to take novel initiatives. For sure, otherwise we end up in the class where children sleep with their eyes open. So the innovation is a priority. There may be lack of engagement, and hence we need to catch them young and innocent with these attributes But henceforth, engaging them with the march of technological adoption in schools is a priority, and henceforth the presentation and the preparedness by the teachers on this move is a requisite.
Sure, but one crisp answer that, do you think the school, here we are also looking at the building as in brick and mortar. So I started with that example from Mirambika, which is devoid of any, walls. There are minimal walls, and it doesn't have an AC or anything, and even the ground is of that the normal ground of soil and concrete. It is there, and we have these schools. Do you think a learning space can only become a good, robust learning space if we have, because the schools are vying to create that kind of palatial buildings? So very quick I'll have a take from you, from Ruchi ma'am, and also from Murugan sir. Very quickly, one bite on this.
Well, as an author myself, I believe that a book is sold by the cover page, and henceforth any presentation brings impression. Even if we go for McDonald's, selling a burger, if it is not presentable, colorful, probably no child will go there. So I believe, yes, it makes the difference. Plus also it brings the preparedness, which I'm repeating again and again. And the children no longer, they get attracted with the colors. Even there can be a distraction in the classroom out of the presentation, which the teachers have in the classroom otherwise. And I was remembering one of the brainstorming sessions which I had with the children. They said, I got carried away by the blue or the nail paint of the teacher, like something that way. Class 5 child spoke up with that particular incentive of getting carried away by the presentation skills. And then henceforth, the teachers becomes their favorite. And of course, with the notion, when I tell in my training sessions as well, that the child will only like the subject if he likes the teacher. So yes, presentation goes all the way, and the preparedness goes henceforth.
Very beautifully said. And I think I will resonate with you on this thought that, yes, a take from you. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm coming to you.
I agree with what Dr. Mehrotra has said. Just in addition to that, we need to create learning spaces that foster creativity rather than productivity, because creativity is something which is original, which is in the minds of the children. Until we don't give them that kind of an environment, that learning space, we may stop their creativity. So a learning space which can foster creativity has to be given. And one more thing I would like to say, the class layouts, they should be such that they adapt to learning rather than limiting the learner. So we need to redesign the classrooms, and that does not mean, obviously, like you were saying, brick and mortar. It is like Dr. Mehrotra said, in the hands of the facilitators, the educators, that
we'll come to that. The next,
yeah.
ma'am, the next question is talking about an environment. But at this moment, I was saying that, which Dr. Mehrotra did answer to an extent, that when we talk about, we are comparing schools, which on one side, which are like Mirambika or Aurobindo or, Krishnamurti Foundation. And on the second hand, we have this culture of schools, trying to sell the concept of learning through their websites or through the mortar and brick buildings and that kind. But yes, what Dr. Mehrotra said did make a lot of, it does make a difference in, of course, the initial years, but later that it impacts the preparedness of both the educator and the learner. And secondly, it does makes a difference. Let's hear what Mr. Balamurugan, Dr. Balamurugan has to say on that. Very quickly, sir.
So this new environment, right, it is completely breaking the constraints what we had on the space. It has completely, it is making us to think out of the dimension on the space, and it is making us to think beyond the constraint on the time and the resources. The resources can be a human resource, or even it can be a learning resource. So this new learning environment, it is breaking all these dimensions, right? All these dimensions, so
Very
that we
true,
can
very true.
start.
I,
Yes,
yes, I think that's a great perspective, because on the one hand, we talk about technology and we say that it is liquidating. The red brick wall is somewhere being liquidated, because learning can happen anywhere, anytime. So, this is going to break that mindset. The cloud on which the learning modules will be kept will become more important. So the traditional mindsets of those big palatial buildings or of a structured classroom has to be broken. So yes, it does ensure, it does attract students, it does make a difference, but at the same time, we also need to keep this in mind, that the new normal or the post-pandemic situation has reinvented the concept of school. And it has become global. It is about the 21st century liquidation of all the artificial boundaries. Thank you so much, our panelists. And we are here talking, for those who have joined late, it is reinventing learning spaces. My next question is to Ms. Ruchi. And the question is, now we come to the second point, that yes, we spoke about the learning spaces that extend, beyond the real world and brick and mortar. We've spoken enough. Let's talk now about a conducive environment. And even the normal healthy listeners younger than 13 years, the researchers show, have more difficult time distinguishing verbal signals from the background noise. So that conducive environment, what is that conducive environment? It's calm, or it is, there is joy, there is humming, there is noise. What is your suggestion to the educators and parents? They need to know conducive, what is this conducive environment? Yeah.
So if we talk about a conducive environment, an environment which believes in 100% development of the child, like I said, foster creativity, let the learner, not learn in limits, move out of his or her limits. The environment has to be very comfortable. It need not be one where there is just a one-way traffic. The child has to grow in an environment which is going to help in his critical thinking, in the life skills of the child, because his life skills also have to be developed. So a conducive environment should work on the whole soul development of the child. And it should not be like you said, ki kuch shor bhi hona chahiye. Yes, if they have that freedom to grow, only then will that 100% potential come out. If we start telling them, no, sit like this, not like this. So that entire environment, class environment, has to be created by the facilitators, make it comfortable, make it conducive and comfortable for them, where they can learn, have playful spaces. We should not limit them to only sitting in single rows, one behind the other, listening to what the teacher is doing, saying. I would like to even suggest an example. I had visited Finland a few years ago, and when we entered one of the classrooms, only the teacher was sitting in the classroom. So we asked her, where are the children? There was a garden right next to the classroom. All the children were sitting outside in the garden and they were studying. And the teacher said, they're all learning, because that is, we have sun only for a few months over here. So they're all sitting out there and studying. And I am here, I am sending them work using a laptop again. So that technology along with the environment could be visible over there. And the best part was, not a single student was watching anything else on the iPads or the laptops which they had, but they were doing the work which had been initiated by the teacher. So like I said, we cannot keep them in the classroom. They were sitting in groups, they were interacting with each other, so their interpersonal skills was being worked upon. The teacher was constantly keeping a watch on them, not going and standing on their head and watching them. So they were out in a very comfortable environment with their friends studying. The teacher was in the classroom monitoring their studying also. So I feel if we give that freedom I think so we'll get 100% results from the children instead of telling them no. In fact, I'm running a preschool and I tell my parents, don't make no a habit. They should understand only one no. For everything, if you tell them no, they'll never
No.
understand what a yes is. So that
Very
one no
well.
should be there. So this is what I
Very,
feel,
very
that
good.
it has to be very, very comfortable, and freedom has to be there. And freedom should be there for our facilitators also. If we give them freedom, they will give their 100%, and then the children will also give their 100%.
Yes. I think
Thank you.
so well put in, Ms. Ruchi, that the environment, you can't talk about a complete silence or a particular kind of regimentization. A conducive environment is, which is agile, adaptable, and there is a lot of flexibility. And as you said, that no, the parents have, and which as educators and parents, the first thing we feel is we precondition our minds and we want to let the children do things from our perspective, and no is the first thing that comes to our mind. So a tip to parents and to educators from our panelists, that there should be one no. You should not say no on each and everything. Let the child explore, develop, and have his own way. Thank you so much. All right, moving on to my next question to Dr. Bala Murugan. And my question is very straight, and I'm not going to create a background to it, because normally, which I do. Now, in this today's hybrid post-pandemic technology integration environment, what should educators keep in mind while using digital learning spaces? Because our educators and parents are facing that problem. So what is the best?
So I think this is this question is there in almost all the minds of the teacher, because they are into the digital mode right now. Somehow we are managing the things now, but even from the student side or even from the teacher side, we have the problem in optimizing the teaching process through the digital mode. So one side, though we have a problem of the screen timing is increasing up and the health issues are coming up, eye irritations are there when we look into those kind of aspects. But from the educator side, as a teacher, right, we have to ensure how we can ensure the active participation of the student through that digital mode. That's the one serious challenge what we have. And another thing is how we are going to monitor them, and what kind of new evaluation technique that we can bring into the system, into this digital transformation, right? These are the three major challenges what I face, which is there in front of the teaching community. So monitoring is very difficult, and active participation of making the students to get participate in your discussion and making them to learn along with you, it's a very serious task. And what kind of evaluation tool that you can bring in, so that you can ensure that the learning is happening. So these three are the major challenges which is lying in front of it. And similarly, what is we expect from the student community is they should understand this everything is happening for their self-learning. They should be more self-disciplined. They should know this everything is happening for their learning, and they should be more ethical. Right. So if we have to cultivate the habit of that ethics, self-discipline thing with the student, and as a teaching faculty, we have to find out for our course how we can make them more actively engaged, and how we can monitor them, and what are the new pedagogical initiative that we can bring in for the teaching, and what new evaluation pattern we can bring it into the digital transformation board. And the major problem in this digital is we cannot put everyone on the same platform. We have a fast learners, we have a slow learners. So fast learners into this digital transformation, they can manage it. But at the same time, the slow learners, they have some difficulty in getting cope up with this transformation. So they needs our support. We have to be spend more time with them. We have to spend more interaction with them, more kind of evaluation or more kind of assessment tool for them, so that they will also perform equally like the fast learners. But to my understanding, fast learners, they don't have any trouble in that part. But maybe because of my personal worry is maybe because of their age, they are not getting into any serious eye problem or health problem. They are spending too much of time with the screen. So we have to find out, we have to teach them how much time they can spend on the screening and how they can take care of their health also. Right now, they don't have a
Yes,
problem because of their age limitation. They don't have, they are not getting into any serious trouble. So it is our responsibility.
very true. Mm. Very true that the three things which you said, and I think educators need, and that is where they're facing, and we've been reading and we've been hearing about it, that one is the monitoring, and not only of examinations, of course, proctored exam, and we've done a number of webinars and webisodes. If the educators want to go back and look at any of those techniques, please do visit our webinars, which are there up on the Edudevs website, to hear and see what the various esteemed resource persons have to talk about. So yes, monitoring is a very big challenge. Second, as you said, that which is true, because constantly active participation, how much they can participate actively. It's only by virtue of technology. There is no development of other as motor or kinesthetic or other skills. So that becomes definitely a challenge. And evaluation. These are the challenges we'll keep here. So very quickly, Dr. Mehrotra, before I move on to the next question to you, what is it that, if you could give a suggestive tip for these things, or I'm sure you would have had some insight on this, that how to manage monitoring, active participation, evaluation. Three things which Dr. Bala Murugan has said, this is a big challenge.
Well, for sure, while we are there in physical mode, it is damn easy. We shout out, we tell them about it, we use anchors, and we get a connect, and they are engaged.
Yes.
But
Yes.
of course, when we have it in the online mode, it is very, very hard to control their presence. And no wonder what they do on multiple screens, nobody knows. So to have a preparedness for that, we have to make it home rules kind of a thing, where once they found the video to be off or some way, they can be automatically be out of the room, out of the class completely. So they know about it, that if it is there like that, we can even connect with some of the vendors, the software vendors who provide that notion that if this condition is there, if then else rule should be, implemented, like the programming of any computer language. So that way approach, it has to be guided and make the parents be aware of this fact, that this is what is a requisite. Just like you cannot learn without a particular teacher in the classroom when you are physical, otherwise the children make noise. There's a substitute teacher who goes to the classroom. Similarly, you have to showcase your presence in the classroom while you're online learner. And of course, when it is a replacement for the physical mode, and very soon we are looking forward that we are back to our thresholds of the real classrooms. Yes. I believe that it is high time we need to also assist letting our parents know about it. And daily what I do in Comas Global School in Lucknow, that once the teacher showcases and shares the absentees in the WhatsApp group, I just forward it to another teacher of mine who has been delegated the responsibility to call out the parents and tell them, see, he was out in the physics lab. He's in the physics period, in the chemistry period, and his video was off. So they are getting a ready reckoner information, about their child's presence or non-presence in the class today. And of course, yesterday we got the news about the 26th of April, we're going to start our board exams. So that came as a catalyst to, measure their attention and build up their preparedness for the learning. And that is what is the mindfulness, I would say, which is a requisite now for the teachers, for the parents, and the other stakeholders.
Great. Thank you so much. Great insights as always, Dr. Mehrotra. Moving on to Ms. Ruchi Sharma. Now, last few years, things like flipped classroom, blended learning, they have become very common. So flipped classroom model is a learning space that combines traditional brick and mortar classroom with a virtual instructional space. The type of blended learning reverses, the traditional classroom arrangement by delivering instructional content, often online, as we were just talking. Now, this approach therefore relies on transformation of students after our locations into learning spaces. Please throw some light and educate our educators about how effectively can this model be used, and how do educators be 100% sure of the participation from students. So I think you can build up your conversation where Dr. Dheeraj left.
Yeah, with the flipped technology coming in, we cannot say that, we cannot go on with the same age-old the teaching module which was there. We have to follow the flipped classroom, because I personally feel the word flip can be divided into four things, where we are talking about a flexible environment, a learning culture which can be more customized, active, and engaging, wherein we can engage the children, because obviously the flipped model is going to be in the form of a virtual format that we're going to do with the children. So it has to be a flexible environment. We are giving a flexible environment with the flipped technology. The learning culture is being customized. As a facilitator, we can customize the learning content as per the requirement of the students. The content has to be student centered, because the children will be able to get time to review the content as and when they want. And basically, when we talk about the facilitators, they have to have a very professional attitude towards a flipped technology that they are going to follow. So a flexible environment with the positive learning culture, with the content which the children can review at as and when they want to, provided by a professional facilitator, is what, because I feel a flipped classroom will help children in higher cognitive levels of learning, because they will be able to discuss things with their peers. They are able to review the content as and when they want to, because what is happening right now, if we go by the traditional role of teaching, in that whatever the teacher used to teach, we never had a refine button where you could just rewind and take a recap if you have missed out on something. So somewhere the flip technology is helping the children, because they have that access that if they want to revise, review a content, they can always, go back, review that content, and again, able to understand that. They can make small groups with their friends, study that content with the peers. And I think so it will definitely help children, because we have children of different levels. We have fast learners, like Murugan sir was saying, we have the fast learners, we have the slow learners. So with the flip technology, I think so the teachers can make small videos as per the ability and capability of the children, and those can be given to the children, so that nobody stays behind. As per their own ability, the children are able to review that content, study, and give deliver whatever they have grasped from what the teacher has given them.
Thank you so much. And I think what you and both Dr. Murugan was saying is very right, that this differential teaching learning evaluation, that was something we were all struggling, and we were not able to match it to do justice to this differential teaching learning practice in the traditional environment. But with the integration of technology, this has made the task of teachers much doable and much easier. Yes, ma'am, you have to
Just
say.
one small line I would like to say. If we go with
Ji.
the traditional method, I would like to say a teacher was a sage on the stage. And if we take the flip technology, it is a guide on your side.
Guide on this.
So I think
very
so
good.
that is how it's helping the student. She is always there by your side.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Moving on to Dr. Dheeraj Mehrotra. Now, I was reading somewhere that the research that considering that white hat study, which involved formal class observation of a biology faculty member teaching in an active learning space and in a traditional classroom, the researchers found that despite the teacher's explicit attempts to conduct the same learning activities in both sections, he behaved quite differently in the two classrooms, lecturing significantly more in traditional room and conducting discussions significantly more in the active learning space. The instructor also consulted with individual or small groups of students significantly more in an ALC than in the traditional classroom. For instructors interested in practicing participative pedagogy or active learning instruction, an active learning classroom makes it easier to do so than a classroom setup for lecturing. Now, what is your preference? Do you think changing seating system of that gallery view, rows and regimentization view, or the gallery view in the class will make a difference, both online and offline? If you could just give us a brief about
See,
what is more popular.
yeah, if I start with what you ended with, saying that both with online and offline, I would say
Yeah.
certainly not with online, because online is completely a flop show when it comes to the learning outcome of the children. And thanks to pandemic, in some form, we were only in the form of a connect. Otherwise, what was real is real and will be real. That is the physical classroom, at least to the level of the school from 1 to 12th. Coming back to the narration of active learning and the format, the priority is of a classroom where the children have a rapport with the teacher and the teacher has a rapport with the children. The rapport development has to take place every second day, because children get carried away by the way they are treated in the classroom. They are recognized in their classroom and they are given that success mantra that you are the greatest children on earth. You all are the creative genius. And this is all what is the requisite today for the children. They get motivated by the teachers only by the vocabulary the teachers use in the classroom. And that generates the whole learning atmosphere. The climate of learning is directly proportional to the how the teachers are prepared with their delivery, the deliberation, and above all, how they connect with the children. So that goes with the active learning as well as the normal traditional classroom. Well, also when we talk about what Madam was talking about, the flipped learning scenario, I would say that flipped learning talks more about giving them a ready program or a ready work to do as a part of a homework assignment before they start the chapter even. It has nothing to do with the technology integration that comes with blended learning. But when we talk about flipped learning, in reality is telling the children that I'm going to be teaching this tomorrow. Please read this chapter, do your research and come and share that before I even start my class in the class, so that the atmosphere of learning, of interaction continues in the classroom. And there is a wow spectrum of win-win approach. Yes, I shared and I've been recognized by my presentation in the classroom. So this is type of an active merges out with a spectrum of learning, and above all, it comes with practice and the preparedness from the side of the teachers. It cannot be just that one fine day I say that I'm going to conduct a session on active teaching and you incorporate it and do it from right the moment ahead. See, the teachers can't be teaching today the way they were taught. If we do so, actually we are befooling ourselves and the Google generation next. So we need to learn to teach the way the children enjoy learning, and henceforth we need to change. No wonder that we teach A for apple, B for boy, C for cat in an active learning classroom, whereas the children are prepared to learn A for Android, B for BlackBerry, and C for cloud. So there is the question mark there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mehrotra. Though it is debatable, as Dr. Mehrotra said, that he feels, and I'm sure a lot of you will resonate with him, that online has taken away that flavor of student-teacher interaction, but online has its own advantages. The access of knowledge, the uh, the learning that can happen at the child's own pace, the accessibility of knowledge, and the different pedagogical tools which an online mode provides to the educators, it has its own benefits. But yes, nothing can replace a physical space between the teacher and the student. I will build upon that and quickly jump to Dr. Balamurugan to, I think he may not contradict Dr. Mehrotra, that active learning classroom spaces feature round or curved table with movable seating. Anybody is sitting anywhere. The tables are often paired with their own whiteboards for brainstorming, and the seating arrangement is very different. I was actually pleasantly surprised to find such a system in a school when I was visiting Moradabad. And this makes me think that today schools are also exploring options to incorporate the needs of the students and provide the best available infrastructure to them. So, I mean, I was very happy when I saw there was a beanbag, there was no structure, but the learning was going on. Now, how can schools create more such active learning spaces with the existing infrastructure which they have? We are talking, after all, about reinventing learning spaces to the best optimal use of the students. Yes, Dr. Murugan.
As you said, this new normal, right? To my understanding, it's going to be a blend of both online and offline, right? We cannot move away completely from, because we learned a lot.
Yes.
Okay, we learned a lot through this pandemic on the digital platform. So it's so we have to find out how we can make a blend of bringing in those digital transformation into our offline classroom, and how we can make it more effective on the classroom teaching in terms of evaluation or whatever it is. And coming to your question straightly, right? Instead of going for a regular table, chair, and blackboard kind of classrooms, right? We have to change this mindset completely, right? It should be a space where we have to provide the facility or the infrastructure which is required for the course, so that the student should be in a position to have work with those components or those devices. It can be through experimental or participative, or even it can be experiential, whatever it is. So we have to design our classroom, redefine our classroom. Don't make it on a regular way of looking at the board side. It should be reconfigured. It should be having a provision to make some group activity, and whatever learning materials that are required for that particular course, which demands the active participation or experimental learning, those setups can be made available, so that as a group the students should work on those things, and they have to see the results. Once if they bring in the result of their own, it will get retained with them, instead of always the faculty has to take the mode of a mentor as far as supervisor, instead of just as a teacher. So those kind of revamping we have to do. I think that
very well said.
I think that redesigning of the way how we look into the space, that is teaching space, I think that only will help us to reach a high level of taxonomy in the learning process.
Excellent, sir. Redefine, redesign, and reconfigure. And educators, you have to take the lead. You have to see in the hybrid classroom, in the hybrid mold, what are those topics which will be best suited to a physical paradigm space, and what could be best taken up in a virtual scenario. So the educators, as Dr. Balamurugan said, that it is the educator who has to take the lead. They have to remodel and redesign the curriculum, keeping in view both the demand of the curriculum and the integration, the best way of integrating it to the child's needs. Thank you so much. And as we come to the end of this session, may I ask Aishwarya, do we have any viewers who want to address any questions to their panelist of their choice? This is our Q&A round, and our viewers and participants are free to ask the panelists the questions they have.
Yes, we do have one person. As we unmute you, we request you to kindly introduce yourself and let us know to whom you are addressing the question.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mrs. Meenukar Chawla, and I'm from Ellen House Public School, Jhansi. My question is for Dheeraj Malhotra, sir. So we've been talking about these online classes and all. We talked about the facilities which should be given to teachers and all. But the biggest problem which we face is interference of parents a lot during the online classes. Like, I'll just give you an example. Yesterday, it so happened in one of my classes, a teacher gave a little liberty to one of the students to speak in a little animated kind. And, you know, the parent interrupted in between and she was like, ma'am, can't you keep a check on how the child is talking? When the child was talking, whatever was related to his subject itself. But my teacher was, she had to give a complete explanation to the parent that why did she allow that to that particular child. So how can we overcome these problems, sir? Can any workshops be or webinars be held for parents as well?
Well, madam, it's a very apt question, and it has come quite often, when even I observe my classes, teachers come out with these issues as well. See, first of all, let us come together and thank our parents, because we are renting their drawing rooms and bedrooms and living rooms as our classrooms. So first of all, we need to thank them. And once we thank them, we need to also make it very clear that whenever the classes are on, it is actually the whole family members, all the members are in fact listening to the class, if not observing it. They may not be in the camera, but they are very much in the camera, invisibly. So we need to, first of all, do things which appear to be comfortable while being in online, because that is not our classroom, right? So you need to be very particular, because that may be taken as a mockery or as a stupidity otherwise from their point of view, because again, I told you, this is their platform, right? So let the offline classes begin, and then the teachers can do all their tricks and mechanism and strategies to make the children happy going and come up with some outcome. But yes, as educators, we need to, rather, in fact, you should guide your teacher not to, go out of the way to be extra smart, extra delivery. Of course, not all the children are coming up 100%. That's very unfortunate part. So we are struggling. It's a challenge. And above all, also take that point of view that these days, parents are a very, very important stakeholders, and they should be given recognition. So just, listen to them and make sure that they are given that preference. And I believe, yes, maybe that the teacher did not, or the parent did not know about what's going on. So that's the reason, she came up. So let the teacher speak to the parent, clear the doubt, and come up with, and also thank the parent at the same time to be aware of what the child is learning, right? So we should go with a narration saying, thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful, excuse which you have covered up, and we'll certainly see to it. But at the same time, this was the case, right? So make it clear through the telephone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm sure, Meenu ma'am, you would have got your answer, but on our part, as Edudevs School of Inspired Teaching and Learning, we have noted this, and we sure will come up for a workshop on educating even the parents about, we talk about, because I think as stakeholders, all of us have to be on the same page. We talk about parent-teacher trust. There shouldn't be a parent-teacher mistrust. So that is a kind of workshop. And yes, I know the teachers are facing this problem because it's very difficult because, though we have rented their spaces, very right, Dr. Mehrotra, but at the same time, teacher is under a lot of radar where any parent can switch on and walk it into the virtual classroom. So we need to build a code of conduct and create an etiquette do's and don'ts. I'm sure we will come up with. Thank you so much. And I'm sure, Ms. Meenu, you would have been satisfied with the answer. Do we have another person to ask the question?
No, ma'am, we do not have any other questions from the participants right now.
There is just one question which is already there when we send in our registration form, and we choose one of these, we list down these questions, and Ms. Rita Pahwa from Dayal Singh Public School, Sector 7, Karnal, has asked this question: in how many ways reinventing learning spaces are beneficial in the classroom? I would address this to Dr. Bala Murugan. Sir, could you please answer Ms. Rita Pava's question? In how many ways? What does this, what does the question bring to your mind?
Okay. When the term reinventing the learning space, right? What are the things it immediately gets into my mind is we have to look for experimental learning that should happen in the laboratories. And we should think about the experiential learning where the students should be taken to the societal side and they should move with them. And through that, some learning will happen. And they should actively participate in competitions or in exhibitions kind of thing, so that that will make them to learn, right? These are the fundamental out of classroom learning space teaching that immediately comes to my mind. And apart from that, we cannot come out of the flipped classrooms or even the MOOCs platform, right? There are a lot of MOOCs platforms are there. So open resource MOOC platforms are available. So that should also be considered for the different learning spaces.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. With this, we come to an end. And one last bite, which is also a part of the question from one of our participants who registered for the webinar. That is, what are the ways in which a teacher can empower herself to be an effective, futuristic educator? In 30 seconds or a minute, I start with Dr. Dheeraj Mehrotra. I'll repeat the question: in what ways can a teacher empower herself to be an effective futuristic educator? This question is from Jyoti Balan, and she or he has not mentioned the name of the school. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for this question. And if I have the permission to say, I have written a book, 200 Wow Teaching Ideas. So that way you can buy it on Amazon. Just in case. 200 Wow Teaching Ideas. So if I tell them, it will be one of them only. So I'll give you one idea, that you have to first of all give recognition to the child and then see the difference and ask the question in the class which 90% of the children can answer rather than cannot, and see the involvement in the class. Because when they raise their hands, we look out, actually unconsciously we tend to ask the question which is difficult in the class, and hence we are not able to get the the attention of the maximum children. So you start with the question which maximum children know and see the engagement meter. And then obviously, once you recognize the child who has answered the question has never ever, put his hand like that, has been recognized in the class, because he knows that, when he goes home, he'll be excited. Even his friends will say, wow, bahut padh rahe ho aajkal. Ghar jayega, the child will also tell the parent, mama, I answered in the physics class today. And he'll study physics, because he has to give in a recognition. And tomorrow you raise the standard of the question a bit more and see the engagement meter rising, and you have a wow spectrum in the classroom.
Wow, very well said. Very well said. Moving on to Miss Ruchi Sharma. Ji ma'am.
I would say, like I said earlier, freedom, adaptability, and I agree with sir, recognition. And recognition should be given to each and every child. And I personally feel the best way a teacher can be a futuristic teacher or a very good facilitator if she is able to connect with each and every student of her class. And at times it happens we don't remember names of children, which is very unfortunate. If a teacher does not know the name of each and every student of the class, she is lacking somewhere as a facilitator. So that connect, if it is there, that connect has to be emotional, that connect has to be social, that connect has to be physical. If that connect is there, we'll definitely have very, very bright and smart students who will also have that particular quality in them of being emotional and social with the people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And moving on to Dr. Bala Murugan, sir, what do you have to say for a person or an educator to become a futuristic educator? Ji.
Okay. I completely agree with what Ruchi madam have stated, right? As a teacher, right, we have more responsibility on the emotional side and also on the social side. As only a good teacher can able to do those two aspects along with the technical or the regular cognitive teaching. So it's a biggest challenge which is lying in front of all the teaching community, that whatever you are going to teach, in what mode you are going to teach that particular topic, and what are the other learning spaces you are going to bring in, and what are the digital thing where it can be used, and what kind of social connect for what topic it has to be connected. So a proper planning is very much required. And if you can able to plan with all the different aspects of the spaces available, that will be very much helpful to the learning community.
Thank you so much, sir. Great mantras given by our esteemed panelist, Dr. Dheeraj says, which I completely agree. It is the appreciation, the external validation we all look for. So the students do look for. So teachers, please appreciate, give them those wow moments, give them those rewards. Ms. Ruchi says, connect. And I completely resonate when she says that, as a teacher, if you are not able to remember your students' names, you are lacking somewhere and not doing your job properly. And last but not the least, a lot of planning is required to become. You just can't walk into a class just like that. You want to be a futuristic educator, you need to constantly adapt, be flexible, and then move into the class. A learning space that is focused on using and developing 21st century skills and competencies would support learning and practice of core 3 R's of the 21st century content: collaboration, communication, creativity, critical thinking, ICT literacy, life skills 21st century assessment, and the list can go on and on. With the bottom of my heart, I thank each and every panelist for such great insights and leading this discussion to such an intellectual level. And lastly, please don't leave without seeing our short video. Thank you so much. Stay tuned to yet another episode on futuristic education. Thank you so much. Namaskar.